Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
The December meeting of Bridges and Tunnels. Do we have any public speakers? Okay.
Oh my God. We can't lose you.
Nor do we want to.
No.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Before I forget, everybody a very happy holiday, whichever way. I downloaded the Bridges and Tunnels report. I was interested in particularly about the Easy Pass information. I also got the one for the Metro North Committee, and I spoke this morning at the Metro North Committee about why they're still blowing the train whistle when we have cars that are silent inside and you can't hear the whistle anyhow. And I asked why they were signing the tickets for them. It's beside the point. But it relates to this because open road tolling is something that's here and requires not a lot of more information to implement it. The traffic cameras that read your license plates are pretty good. But I also was concerned about the money you spend on striping the lines. I've been talking about that for quite some time and get nowhere. I discussed this on the Federal Highway Administration web pages, and more people throughout the country are using dotted lines across exits and entrances. New York City has more and more dotted lines in the right places. If you go out, you'll see them. Only in certain districts, because certain districts are using them and certain are not. Downtown, they use a double yellow line to let you know where you're going. And the federal manual happens to be wrong. It tells you where you came from, but we now need to know where we're going. I bring this up because I've been trying to get Bridges and Tunnels to use dotted lines at exits, and they don't. Now, it's costing you money. And if you start put the dotted lines across, you can stop putting in those diagonal lines, which cost more money than the dotted lines. So in this financial crisis, and if you want to save some money...
Mr. Bowden, 2 minutes. Would you please sum up?
Thank you. By the way, you started... The clock's wrong. It started 2 minutes early.
You know the old saying, on or close. Okay. Thank you, sir. Approval of the minutes of the November meeting. Any questions or comments on the minutes? I'm glad to know we can get to Chicago now, Easy Pass by ourselves without having to stop. Sooner or later, past Chicago, right? Sooner or later.
On or close.
On or close. Okay. That's right. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Susan?
There's no changes to the work plan. David, you want to do the report on operations?
Yes, thank you, Susan. The report on operations begins on page 13. In October, we had 25 million crossings, which was a slight increase over October of 2008, 0.1%. This is, though, the second month in a row that we've had modest increases on our facilities. When you look at the crossings, all crossings were higher than the prior year, except for the crossings that link the Bronx and Queens, which was about 1% lower than last October. Truck traffic continues its decline. It's down 5.3% versus October 2008. Easy Pass traffic is up 1.5%, while cash vehicles are down 4.1%. That summarizes my report. If you have any questions.
Any questions on numbers? Go ahead.
You know, you remember how I've brought up what is it like at the free bridges? I had occasion to have a rental car about a month ago. I was on the FDR Drive. There was a 3-mile backup to get over the Willis Avenue Bridge. If you wanted the Triborough, you could sail across. So I know people are diverting to the free bridges. I mean, it's a no-brainer. And that's why, you know, the bridge tolls would have been a traffic equalizer. It would have been so good for so many reasons. But so I answered my own question when I had this car.
Bridge tolls. Yes.
Don, you want to do the
Okay.
Easy Pass report?
Sure. The Easy Pass report begins on page 25. It shows that our market share for October was about 75.7%, about a percentage point higher than the previous year. 10,600 accounts were opened in October. Year to date, we've opened more than 106,000 accounts, about 8,000 more than the same time last year. Almost 2,200 EasyPass on the Go tags were accounts were opened in October. That's more than 20% of the accounts opened for the month. And since the program began, we've sold more than 38,000 of on-the-go tags, approximately 81% of which have been registered. That concludes
Is the
EasyPass
75.7 the highest number we've ever had?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's up there. It certainly would be up there.
And do we assume that, or do we have a breakdown on EasyPass between trucks and passenger cars? Are we to assume, I mean, I would make an assumption, I don't know, that most trucks have EasyPass, or is that an assumption that is incorrect?
No.
No,
Page 25,
right.
Mitch.
Okay.
Year-to-date,
Right.
87.9%.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reduction in truck traffic, which you indicated, means that there's a higher percentage of our traffic this month or last month was passenger cars than trucks than the month before, because of we had an increase in traffic but a reduction in trucks.
My comparison is this October to last October, so it's not flowing
It's not
from...
month to month.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
On the financial report, my suggestion is that we skip, unless people have questions about the October numbers, we skip because we're going to do a presentation on
Yep.
the November financial plan, which has an action item to also take up.
Okay.
And do you want to do the presentation now, Don? Or do
Sure.
you want to wait till the end, either?
Either way, now it's fine.
Okay.
Let's do it now. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to walk through it pretty quickly, so
It's-
obviously
it's-
stop
does
me if I'm going too
everybody
fast.
have?
Yep.
Okay.
Starting on page 2, the plan primarily focuses on changes between July and November. It reflects the latest economic data that we have. There's no programmatic changes from the July plan, and there's no change in service levels or pegs, and of course we maintain our security and safety standards. Page 3, a quick couple slides on traffic. You can see that in the 2009 column in July and again in November, we revised our traffic forecast upward. That's based on both the economic data that we've been seeing, particularly jobs, which have stabilized a bit in the New York area, and also, as we've been discussing over the last several months, the drop we've seen since the toll increase has not been as high as we projected. We projected a little less than 3%, and it's actually been a little less than 1% since the toll increase. So for that reason, we've been revising our traffic upwards in both in the July plan, because of the economic data, and the November plan, both the economic data and the toll increase. Page 4 gives you some historical perspective on traffic. Looking at that 2009 final forecast column, I think the bad news is that we're projecting our lowest traffic since 1999 by the end of the year. The good news, however, is that the year-to-year drop in 2009 is not as big as it was in 2008 compared to 2007. It's about half as much. And the other piece of good news is that we're projecting very little change in traffic between 2009 and 2010, so hopefully the worst is over in terms of our traffic declines. Page 5, looking at the revenue, of course, when you revise the traffic forecast upward, you also revise the revenue. So we're projecting 18 million plus more in toll revenue in the November plan than we did in the July plan, bringing us up to 1,358 for the year. On the expense side, on page 6, comparing July to November, you can see that our expenses are going down $9 million. On the labor side, it's about $4 million, and that's a combination of payroll and fringe, which is due to higher vacancies than planned in July, and overtime with some tighter controls that the operations department has installed in the field. On the non-labor side, there's a lot of ups and downs, but the net is that it's a $5 million decrease, so that's the total $9 million decrease between July and November. 2010 July to November, again, same story on revenue. With the higher traffic, we have higher revenue, $17.7 million. And on page 8, we show the expense changes between the July and November plan. It's basically pretty flat. On the labor side, they're up slightly. Most labor costs are up slightly, mostly due to pension adjustments. On the non-labor side, again, several ups and downs, nothing programmatic, and it nets out to about a $600,000 decrease for non-labor. So the $1.8 million increase for the year. Starting on page 9, we have some year-to-year comparisons. On the revenue, it's pretty straightforward. Toll revenues, of course, are up because of the toll increase we had instituted in July, so that's the major reason driving higher toll revenues. Other operating revenues down slightly. Pardon me? That's battery parking garage for the most part. There's also easy pass fees we collect. And the battery parking garage is down somewhat because of the economy. And investment income is also down because interest rates are so low. The next page, page 10, shows the expense changes from 2008. We're projecting by the year end about a $6 million increase in expenses. That is primarily labor, and the labor costs are up primarily due to inflation and contractual increases for our uniform workforce. There's, again, with the non-labor, many ups and downs, but they net out at a $3.7 million decrease. Nothing programmatic really on the non-labor side. And the last couple of pages, we do some comparisons on page 11, we do a comparison 2009 to 2010 expenses. You can see we are projecting $36 million increase in expenses from 2009 to 2010. That's driven by really a split, almost an even split between labor and non-labor. On the labor side, it's about $15 million. That's a combination of inflation, which is almost a third of that increase. You can see in the footnote. It's also the contractual increases that our uniform workforce is entitled to. That's another $5 million or so, and the remainder is simply an assumption that the vacancies that we have in 2008, or rather in 2009, will be primarily filled in 2010. And on the non-labor side, the major driver of the increase is that we'll be beginning our Easy Pass tag swap program. I believe it's scheduled for March, the beginning of March of next year. About 700,000 tags will be swapped out, and that's the major reason for that $15.6 million increase in Easy Pass tags. And finally, on page 12, just sort of summarizes everything. Of course, the key number is that $697 million for total support to mass transit. That's what we're projecting for this year, and it'll go up a bit in 2010, according to our latest projections, to $710 million. So that's the quick summary. Any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
And we have the action item on page 67.
Right, yes. We need to
Any
move
questions on the budget? Okay. We're going to just move it to the Finance Committee, where obviously
There's going to be a lot more
adjustments may be
discussion.
made as part of the discussion on Monday relating to the reductions in subsidies and state tax payments.
Bless you.
So if we have anyone, get them tight. If no one has any other questions, we'll just take a motion to move it to Finance. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Capital program, Tom?
Thank you, Susan.
As discussed at past meetings, our project TB59 was created to relocate facility and shop space on Randall's Island. It was our largest planned award in 2009, accounting for more than half of our entire 09 program. And the project was bid in April. In the past month or so, we've decided to rethink this project, and we're going to look again for more cost-effective methods to house B&T and NYPD activities on the island. We're going to revisit several options to the new building. Leasing space off island is an alternative that might prove beneficial in the current real estate market, and other options will also be considered. As a result, we will not commit this project in 09, and our performance of commitments against 09 plans will suffer somewhat. On a positive note, due to our success in fully committing our program from 05 through 08, our overall commitment status for the 05 to 09 capital program will be reasonably good, and we expect to commit 90% of our entire program. We did not complete any tasks in November. Year-to-date, however, we've completed $427 million of work versus a plan of $434 million. And this year, we will complete more work than ever before, and we expect to accomplish 97% of our 05 to 09 completion goal at program's end. Year-to-date, we've closed out $102.6 million worth of work, and that concludes my report. Any questions?
Questions on the capital? I noticed the issue of the all-electronic tolling is the reason for the delay in the deck replacement issue. They are
Right.
related.
Right, they are related. There's actually, until we come to some conclusion about the policy decision of going to all electronic tolling, it's prudent not to advance, any effort with respect to replacing the toll plazas, which we obviously need to do.
Right. So but it's not a safety issue.
No,
It's more of an operational issue.
it is.
Okay.
I mean, we do need to do the rehabilitation of our toll plazas.
Right.
But there is not an issue of safety.
Okay.
Verrazano Bridge contract, has that been let?
It's just about.
How shortly is shortly? Because that's what I was told last month.
We hope to have it awarded
Before the end of December? I'm sorry, you said you don't see it happening this month. And what has the delay been since the bids have been in for a while?
There was an issue with one of the bidders, and it's under evaluation, and we're probably moving forward to the second firm.
The procurement process is always fraught with, given the age in technology, you can review a lot about contractors. So everything has to be reviewed in great detail, and it does slow our process down.
No, I understand that. That just,
We know how important it is.
yeah.
We do.
Having just dealt with it 45 minutes ago, actually an hour ago.
Our
We hear you.
condolences. Okay, anything else on capital? Okay.
Procurements. There are 7 procurements this month totaling about $14 million. There are no non-competitive procurements. Of the 7 competitive ones, the first one's a personal service contract with STV for miscellaneous construction inspection services on an as-needed basis over 5 years. And the board approved, and the committee as well, approved 2 prior firms, and this is just adding a third to our complement. The second is a personal service contract with Lero Engineering to provide construction management and inspection services for the Throgsneck, Anchorage, and Tower Protection Project in the amount of about $2.3 million. Essentially, what this project will do is protect our piers, and also it will provide for a standpipe at water level on the Bronx side of the Throgsneck. The third personal service contract is with WSP Cells to provide construction management and inspection services at the Bronx Whitestone. This is not related to the biennial issues that we've been discussing, and we'll discuss again momentarily. This is a separate project that has to do with doing repairs inside the Anchorage. Tom, if I'm getting these wrong, let me know. The Bronx, no, Queens.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
The next item is a miscellaneous service contract with Dom's Lawnmaker to perform landscaping services that are necessary to provide motorists with adequate sight lines at our various facilities in the amount of $997,000 over 3 years. The fifth and the seventh item I thought I would talk about together because they're both related to the Bronx Whitestone and both are related to the biennial inspection work that we have been discussing. The fifth item is a modification to a personal service contract with Greenman Peterson, and it's in the amount of $664,000 for construction management and inspection services. And it's related to the last item, which is with Conti again, who's doing the construction work at the Bronx Whitestone, and the amendment there would be for about $1.3 million. The good news is that we've completed the biennial inspection, and we think that this will be the last of these change orders until we do another interim inspection, which will be next year. Right?
Correct.
And I apologize that these have been coming to you on a piecemeal basis, but we're doing the inspection, and this is in real time. The sixth item and the last one is a modification to a personal service contract with Lero Engineers in the amount of about $200,000 to provide additional construction management and inspection for the redecking of the RFK Bridge. And in this case, the additional work is related to the fact that we had a transformer fire, and we are actively pursuing from the contractor, who's Koch in this case, the additional costs here.
Any questions on any of the competitive procurements? All in favor? Aye? Okay.
There are no ratifications this month. I think the last item is the safety statistics. You want to cover those quickly, Ian?
Yes, good morning. Safety statistics through the third quarter begin on page 79.
And I would like to note we have new data that we're collecting and reporting.
And from page 79 to 81, we have two charts and one graph concerning the customer vehicle accidents with injuries. The statistics are sorted by monthly and by facility. And page 82 to 86, we have two charts and three graphs concerning employee lost time injuries. They are sorted by work group and facility and type of injury. That concludes the report. If there are any questions.
Is there any really, really good reason why the accident rate at Verrazano is much higher than every place else?
Well, we've seen that we've addressed slippery roads when wet. At times there seem to be accidents that occur when the roads are wet, and there has been some repaving done onbound from Brooklyn, and there's some skid tests being done to see exact spots where that is a problem.
And we are actually focusing on the Verrazano. We did have a good result focusing on the RFK, and in particular, I think that we're starting to look at weekends, right, Jimmy?
Absolutely. Many of our assets starting in September were dedicated to speed enforcement on Saturday and Sunday. Looking at the accidents and the rate of injuries, we had a higher percentage on the weekends, so many of our speed enforcement officers, sergeants, lieutenants are dedicated now to focusing on the bridge for the remainder of the year, with great success, I might add.
How much, if any, of this is related to the need to reconfigure the access ramps and the whole project that I looked at earlier this year?
Generally, the accidents are in one area called a hotspot, eastbound upper level. What generally occurs from observation and statistics, the Belt Parkway generally backs up onto the bridge, and on the downside of the bridge eastbound towards Brooklyn, the accidents occur in roadway 1, the left-hand roadway.
Okay.
People generally traveling too fast rear-end each other. What we've done during the year is provide additional VMS signs, a pacing detail, and the speed enforcement to slow down customers using the upper level eastbound, specifically those heading towards the Belt Parkway.
Now, when you say too fast, you mean relatively too fast?
Correct.
Or, because nobody is moving fast there.
Relatively too fast, yes.
Okay, because basically, I mean, people are just bumper to bumper.
Basically, your analysis is correct. It's bumper to bumper, and it's the individual traveling relatively too fast to stop.
Or the person cutting in from the middle lane, which we all see.
Absolutely.
Yes, all the time. Yes. Okay. Anything else on the statistics?
That's not this month.
Andrew's
The
favorite
work
report.
plan will tell you when it's time.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a happy holiday for everyone.